Welcome everyone! In this video we'll finally take a break from the Space Marines and talk about the orcs from Joytoy, using the example of this orc commando Sniper boy Balrukk. What you need to know about this figure before starting the review? Probably that this is one of the 3 best orcs in visual terms made by Joytoy. The entire wave of orcs unfortunately is one time an already long-standing experiment of 2022, and there are only 7 of them. So during the review we'll also try to find out how Joytoy orcs feel in today's Warhammer scale. The equipment of all orcs is as basic as possible. In this case, it is a main weapon, an additional weapon and a backpack. Without delay we can move on to the visual analysis, and I'm always happy when it's minimalistic. This beautiful man has simple pants and boots with a couple of straps, nothing more. The sole is ripped. On the belt you can see a spare bullet suspended, including the red one. A square pouch, 3 different grenades, among which, as I understand, there are both frag and smoke. By the way, they are suspended not on the belt but on the backpack. On the right side hangs a belt buckle, and a loop for touching a large grenade with the handle. As for clothing, the commander has a simple t-shirt and a backpack on straps. A small cartridge case is attached to the right shoulder. The pocket on the left. The muscles on the arms are naturally worked out, and I like how it looks. The green color of the skin even looks realistic. The forearms are wrapped in clamps. The hands themselves are huge and have black nails, and it's very cool that they are well detailed. You can even see his veins. The backpack is really large, has fasteners, 4 pockets and a gun belt thrown over it, which also contains both regular and deadly red bullets. I like the elaboration of this detail, especially that the lower 5 rings are already empty. Under the backpack there are just straps and an orc's back. Balrukk's face is done well, but when you look at it in such a close-up, you can see that the teeth are not painted very neatly, but in life on the shelf it is not noticeable. The eyes are red, there is a small snub nose by all beauty standards, a couple of wrinkles on the forehead, big ears, and on the left there is earring from a bullet or something similar. The grenade that you can interact with is a simple part, painted in a metallic color with cuffs. The main weapon is a huge rifle, as far as I understand a rapid fire. As it used to be among the orcs, assembled from various parts, which is noticeable by the barrel, but at the same time it looks very organic. There is a belt with bullets, the butt of the rifle, a sight with the crosshair. From this side it's not entirely clear, it looks like the bolt mechanism is jammed, because it is set at an angle. They can also see that the plate is screwed to the bottom of the barrel. The barrel itself is too big for the bullets he used, but when did that stop the orcs? It is curious that the perforation is exactly the same as the exhaust pipes for the Contemptors, so it's quite possible that this is a part of some dreadnought. It is nice that the barrel is drilled deep enough and looks decent, although there is still an assembly seam. The articulation is typical for orcs, which is unique for what Joytoy usually does for Warhammer figures. There is a bend in toes, and this is the only type of figures except for the Space Marines which have such a point of articulation. The feet are on ball joints. There is a bend in the knees and ball joints in the hips, but the legs of the orcs are very short, so it's not about dynamics but mostly about stability. There is a ball joint in the belt area, but it is inactive due to the fact that the belt and backpack straps are connected. The arms rotate in the shoulders, can move to the sides, there's double elbow band, as well as turns in the biceps, and of course ball joints in the hands. By the way, it is a problem area for this particular figure. The head is on a ball joint, allows you to make turns and most minimal tilts. And for dessert, a small belt with bullets can be removed from the shoulder. So, Joytoy's orcs. Let's start with some information about what kind of orc command squad was presented. As far as I understand, these are orcs from the Blood Axis clan, who are known for their cooperation with the Imperium and the ability to use tactics during combat, which means they're rather cunning but strong, than strong but cunning. This character is a sniper, but I think you understand that the spread of his fire should be like a machine gun. There are a couple of questions about the figure itself. Since the weapon is gigantic and heavy, the hands are stiff and it's very difficult to insert it into them. Moreover, the right hand loosens literally immediately, and now constantly falls out when moving. But in general, the movement itself is the main problem of this figure. If you display him with the rifle in aiming pose, you have only one stance available, only this one, and the position of the hands cannot be changed in any way. Moreover, he cannot take a pose from the box completely because his hand will not reach the barrel in that place, which is actually an omission. But on the other hand, stability is still preserved. And the large mass of the figure. For comparison, basic second generation Space Marine weighs about 118 grams. And this orc weighs 206 grams with the weapon. And also the hellish hardness of the plastic, the orc bodies seem to be made of stone. The last point I want to talk about is the visual. Many people complain that they do not like the appearance of these orcs, because they are too cartoonish. To be honest, I cannot understand this claim. How should a huge pumped up mushroom look? What is meant by cartoonishness? In my opinion, their miniatures look exactly the same. Moreover, in the canon, in the official movie they look the same, and I don't remember any other screen adaptations. So I am incapable of understanding such a claim in principle. The most interesting part is the scale. This orc is designed for the old figure scale, so it looks good with the old primaries, as well as with other smaller figures like the Guardsman or Deathmark. I don't remember any comparisons of orcs with Tyranids on the internet. In my opinion, it's also a good combination. The firstborn Space Marine, and they also scale well, as far as I understand the dimensions of the orcs. And the old Terminator. But guys like Ahriman, Titus, Cataphractais and all the new Space Marines turned these orcs into undersized ones, and here I'm at loss, because I know that orcs within their species can vary greatly in size from small to gigantic, like the size of Primarchs and Dreadnoughts. So I cannot say whether these are normal differences in size. Personally, I like how he looks next to the Skeletor, not inferior to him in the leveling of the biceps. Of course, the orc is less than half as tall as Primarchs, but it is Magnus here, because it is funny that in terms of biceps Balrukk is not inferior even to the Primarch, which is worthy of respect. What conclusions I got about this guy? I will try to summarize. Very good visuals, especially for 2022 from Joytoy. Articulation is limited, but still good in terms of the orc body morphology and anthropometry. The joints in the wrists are too weak, and the limited posing with the rifle is depressing. Even now in subshots you can see that he looks much more impressive in close combat than in long range, because here you can change stances, but not with the gun. Here is the dynamics, but not when shooting. Not to mention the fact that working with the rifle for the figure is inconvenient in principle. Therefore, to me personally, the figure is valuable for example as a comical sidekick for Skeletor, with whom they can angrily drink a couple of cola. And finally, the most important thing is the scale and compatibility with new figures. In my opinion, the dimensions of these orcs can still be considered relevant, because their height should be measured primarily in comparison with ordinary guardsmen like Carians, Greeks and the firstborn Space Marines. Although, of course, it would be cool if these orcs were 1 cm taller, for example due to the same increase in the length that Joytoy primaries went through, then there would be no questions about them at all. This is where the video comes to an end. I want to remind you that I will be very glad to see your likes, comments and subscriptions on my channel. Thanks for watching and have a nice Vach.